Alex Fries moved to the US from Germany in the early 19th century with excitement and opportunities promised by the Western frontier. A young chemist by training, Fries soon found a job in the booming distillery industry of southern Ohio and northern Kentucky. His background suited him well in becoming mainly developing flavors to make their often sour products more appealing to the public. Eventually, he established his own company in Cincinnati, which became a small but important flavor industry in the US and earned annual revenue of 5 billion US dollars by the end of the 20th century. His success in the flavor industry induced a family affair, which made his two grandsons create their own respective companies, Fries and Fries in early 1900s, and after some time, another descendant of Alex Fries, John Fries, served as the president and CEO of FNC International Inc., a flavor company whose stocks are traded at the Nasdaq Stock Exchange. For quite some time, FNC International reigned for a time during the 1980s as one of the fastest growing corporations, but unfortunately, the legacy of the Fries family came to a distasteful end in the early 1990s. John Fries led a large-scale financial fraud that led to the downfall of the company alongside other executives which participated in the scam,
Nice,
or
nice.
allowed it to continue unchecked due to their actions.
Kemarin nih auditing nih. Kenapa duduk di sebelah cewek? Iya tadi tuh masih pengen kalimat-kalimat aja. Lu gimana coba? Muka biasa aja dong. Muka biasa aja dong. Okay, first let's look at the graph. It's really like our revenues from 2000 years and 2010 years is like actually grow up regularly, but it grew
Methods
actually
which Fries
well,
and his cohorts were not
and
unique
we
nor
went up from
innovative, but he
2014 and
realized
until
that the most effective
2016.
strategy
But
for
roughly
embellishing his company's
2017 years,
periodic operating
our operations
results
like went
was
down.
to inflate
So we
the
need
revenues
to
and
do
overstate the
something to
period-ending
solve this
inventories.
problem. What? Do you have a better idea?
I'm just doing my job. Jeez.
Then do it better and don't criticize my method.
Okay, okay, let's continue.
Also, our operations are
From the
going
early
down. The
1990s,
capacity
the
is not
company
finding the
slowly
support from banks
overstates
and
sales
investment
revenues by
to
backdating valid
do our
sales
operations.
transactions,
So
shipping customers
let's
product they
oversee our
didn't order,
inventory.
and recording bogus sales transactions.
That's
To
better.
overstate inventory, the company personnel filled barrels with water
You know, like we have barrels, right? To
and labeled
keep
them
our inventory
containing
and it's
high
water.
concentrate flavor
So
products,
actually, you know,
and they
if
also
you look at
neglected
all
to write
the
off defective goods and
like
include
filling them with
waste
water,
products from manufacturing to
and
the
also
inventory.
I think we have some goods like returned by the customers. So instead of like writing them off, we can keep them as our inventory.
John's cohorts used these misleading financial statements to sell equity securities and to obtain significant bank financing. As the fraud keeps going on, John and the executives struggle to develop appropriate sales and inventory management strategies due to the company's accounting record, which were unreliable. Looks like John has an idea.
Let's create the new imaginary warehouse. Like it will be imaginary, and we will record all our overstated inventory into that warehouse.
Whoa, good idea, John. And to conceal the company's fraudulent activities from the internal and independent auditors, the executives continually plotted to divert their auditors' attention from suspicious transactions and circumstances uncovered during the annual audit. Some measures was taken by executives by making fake documents, mislabeling inventories counted by the auditors, and undercutting subordinates who attempts to expose the fraud. But due to the constant size of inventory fraud caused the scheme to unravel. Claims that the company's financial statements contain material irregularities triggered an investigation by the SEC. It revealed that the company had overstated its cumulative pre-tax earnings during the early 1990s by plus minus 8 million US dollars. The company understates its pre-tax net loss for fiscal in 1992 alone by nearly 140% or 3.8 million US dollars. This is Catherine Sprower, a CPA accepted as an accountant on FNC International in July 1992, shortly after the June 30 close to the company's 1992 fiscal year. She drafted the MD&A section of FNC's 1992 Form 10K registration statement. In October 1992, she became the controller of FNC's flavor division and also continued to prepare and help secure the FNC's MD&A and periodic financial reports that needed to be submitted to the SEC. In early 1993, an employee told Sprower that he saw
I
other
got you this
company
time.
employees filling inventory barrels with water in the final few days of June 1992.
But I have proof right here, Mrs. Power.
This individual also told her that he had documentation linking two executives to the
And I
incident,
even have the
which was
video right here.
apparent intended to overstate the company's year-end inventory for final fiscal 1992. Based from the SEC, she abruptly ended the conversations with this employee and didn't discuss his allegations with anyone. Later that day, another employee told her and confessed that he was involved in the episode earlier today.
Hey Anderson, we have a problem with our inventory.
The correspondence file that the persistent company placed at Sprower's table detailed approximately 350,000 US dollars of non-existent inventory in FNC's accounting records. It is reported that she never showed the file of bogus inventory to her superiors, other FNC accountants, or the company's independent auditors. However, she subsequently warned FNC COO Fletcher Anderson that the company had significant inventory problems. Fletcher Anderson became the COO of FNC International in September 1992 and joined the board of directors a few days later. On March 23, 1993, Anderson succeeded John as FNC's president and CEO. During the fall, Anderson stumbled across several suspicious transactions in FNC's accounting records. In September 1992, Anderson found out sales shipments made before the given customer had placed purchase orders with FNC and learned that the other sales shipments had been delivered to the warehouse instead of the customers. At the end, in early October 1992, Anderson uncovered a forged bill of lading for customer shipment, which was altered to change the reported month of shipment from October to September. Each of this error inflated FNC's reported earnings for the first quarter of fiscal in 1993, which ended on September 19, 1992. More direct evidence that the company's financial data were being systematically distorted came to his attention during the second quarter of 1993.
Hey, you need to be honest with me. What do you know about warehouse key and how our product are delivered here?
I cannot tell you much. All that I know is that all of our concentrated products are waters, like concentrated products, which is why we cannot deliver them to our customer. We can only hide them in our warehouse.
I need to do some checking on this.
Please leave me out of this. I don't want any trouble.
Next month, Anderson went to Warehouse Q, learned that Warehouse Q and that at least 1.5 million US dollars of inventory stored in that warehouse couldn't be located or defective. Sprower, later on that day, submitted her resignation to Anderson in the late of January 1993.
I want to resign from FNC
What? Why? What is your reason?
because I really think I could continue to be an accountant in a company that I have doubts regarding the reliability of this company inventory reports. It's because
Enough. I understand what you mean. You can go now.
Best of luck, sir.
What should I do now?
Anderson insisted Sprower not to tell him why she believed to those unreliable records, since he wanted to avoid testifying regarding her concerns in any subsequent litigations. In February 1993, after
And
Anderson
they pay
replaced
for
John as top
everything, so I
executive,
just join with them.
Excuse me, Anderson, I think I need to talk to you for a moment.
Okay, please take care of this company.
Okay, thank you, John. I'll try my best.
Okay.
Cost accountants warned him that the company had inventory problems in the magnitude of 3 to 4 million US dollars. Later on, Anderson told SEC that although the cost accounts that access to the company's inventory records and its actual inventory was a defective, he believed that the accountant was just overstating the severity of company's inventory problems.
Bangsa Pardo.
Craig Schuster served as the CFO of FNC International during the early 1990s. As FNC CFO, he oversaw the preparation of and signed the company's registration statements filed with the SEC, including the Form 10-K reports for fiscal 1991 and 1992. Throughout 1992, he became aware of various problems in the accounting records, most notably the existence of Warehouse Q. On March 1992, he learned that his subordinate couldn't locate many items listed in the company's perpetual inventory records. A few months later, he discovered that customers' shipments were being backdated in an apparent attempt to recognize sales revenue prematurely. In the end of 1992, he determined that approximately $1 million US dollars of FNC's work in process inventory was classified as finished goods. On December 17, 1992, a frustrated Schuster prepared to forwarded to Anderson a 23-page list of 1.5 million US dollars of inventory allegedly stored in Warehouse Q. The memo also indicated that the inventory couldn't be located or was defective. The SEC's enforcement releases focusing on the FNC's fraud didn't reveal how or whether Anderson's response to Schuster's memo. Because he supervised the preparation of FNC's financial reports filed with the SEC, Schuster knew that those reports didn't comment on the company's inventory problems. In January 1, 1993, Craig Schuster resigned as the CFO of FNC International, and the company's registration statement was signed as the CFO was the company's Form 10Q for the first quarter of fiscal in 1993, which ended on September 30, 1993. In September 28, 1994, enforcement released, the SEC criticized Catherine Sprower, Fletcher Anderson, and Craig Schuster to failing to ensure FNC's financial report filed with the Commission and decimated to the investing public that the information was accurate.
I said there is something fishy going on. So the three of you aware of the fraud, but you didn't do anything. Moreover, Anderson and Sasher, you are not establishing an adequate internal controls. So we concluded that the three of you and the other 7 executives are mastermind behind this. So we are going to impose fine on all of you. And John, you're going to jail.
No!
Several of the individuals also agreed to forfeit proceeds received from earlier sales of FNC securities. Fries relinquished more than $2 million he had realized from the sale of FNC's common stock. Finally, the SEC imposed civil fines on the 4 executives that ranged from $11,500 US dollars to $20,000 US dollars. FNC International filed for bankruptcy in April 1993, shortly after the fraud became public. The following year, a competitor purchased FNC Remain's assets. In March 1995, John Price began serving a 15-month sentence in a federal prison.